Hi everyone, and welcome to this little introduction video for the Summit Learning Platform, also known as the SLP. So whenever you log in, this is your first thing you're going to see, and I know this is a lot different than things you're used to seeing. It's laid out a little differently. So after you log in, you might see this week screen, and if you're thinking that because there's nothing here, you have nothing to do, you are wrong. So this screen is for you to add your goals. So this is all about the self-directed learning cycle. And we want to first start with setting goals. So this provides a nice visual. If you just hover underneath the date in each one, you have an opportunity to add a goal. So say in algebra, I want to click add a goal, and I would like to work on the focus area that has been assigned to me. I could click that. I could do an additional focus area. I could say that I'm going to work on checkpoint 2 or whatever. And I can also type in here what I want my goal to be. So you'll have more success if you do add in goals and try to achieve those as you go. So again, just because this is blank does not mean there's nothing due. So you'll also want to go into the year phase. This is where you can actually see what has been assigned, and basically this shows you every single thing you're going to have to do for the entire year. And if you look at it, it's really not all that much. So if you use your time wisely, you should have no issues. So these ones right here, the power focus areas, these are worth 30% of your grade, and this is where you're going to learn the content that's going to help you when it comes time to work on the projects or the concept units. So you'll want to be paying attention to your instructional launches that are done every Monday by all of your instructors, and that is where they will keep telling you what you should be doing and when it's due in order to stay on pace and finish on time. So you can access a focus area. So let's look at forms of government. You'll want to click in, and the first thing you'll do, this is where you're actually going to be learning the content. So the first thing you do is read the description of what you're actually going to be learning. Look over some of these key terms. If you're taking notes, these are the words that I recommend taking notes on. And then the first thing you'll do is do the START diagnostic assessment. That's just a fancy word for a pretest. It is not graded. It is just for you to be able to find out what you already know and what you'll need to learn. So basically what you'll do, the things you know that you need to learn that you struggled with in the pretest, you're going to go down through this area here. This is what is called the playlist. And it's broken down by the different areas that were in that diagnostic assessment. So the purposes of government, the types of monarchies, types of democracies, and so on and so forth. So if you were somebody that missed the questions about the types of monarchies, you're going to want to spend more time in this part of the playlist. And it's important to note that you do not have to complete all of these activities. These are here for you to decide how you want to learn. If you're a visual learner, you can watch a video. Maybe we suggest taking notes while you're watching the video. There's also slideshows. There's different readings that you could print and highlight. But again, the big point being, try to take notes in everything you're doing. If you take the notes, then you can take the content assessment, and it's basically an open book test. So once you feel ready, that you've studied enough and you feel prepared, you're going to come up here and you would request that content assessment. It's important to note that the content assessments will be approved twice per day, typically between 8 and 9 a.m. and 3 and 4 p.m. So you can request the assessment at any time, but if you do that at noon, it could possibly be a couple hours until your instructors get on to unlock those. So if you're somebody who does not work until 7 or 8 at night, you're going to have to make it a point to get on there at some point during the day and request a content assessment, because after 4, there's a good chance it will not be unlocked. So it's going to take some scheduling and planning on your part, because once these are unlocked, they're only open for 8 hours. So if you miss the opportunity, you'll have to try again the next day. Let's see. Okay. So I want to go back out to the year view. And then this little blue line here is where you want to be as close to this as possible at all times. So this is basically your pace car. Pretend it's a race to the end, being June, and this is your pace car. If you stay with this, you'll have no problems finishing everything in time. So you'll want to be wherever this line is that if it goes through that little box, that's what you should be working on. So the focus areas are worth 30%, well, it's actually about 20% of your grade. These additional focus areas, they are not required, but if you want to get the highest possible grade, which is an A+, you would have to do the additional focus areas and the power focus areas. So I recommend, learn as much as you can, take the opportunities and try to complete all of these focus areas. But try also not to work too far ahead in the focus areas, because the focus areas make it relevant. You're learning the information that's in the project right above it. So try not to move too far ahead through those. And if you're somebody who is flying through all these focus areas, that's great, but you're probably going to forget that information by the time it comes time to do the project. So remember that projects are worth 70% of the final grade. So even if you do all of these focus areas, that's only 30%, and you can't pass that way. So make sure that you're at least attempting these projects. So we're going to click into a project. So say you pass the focus area, you feel comfortable to start working on the project. So this final product, this is actually the final thing that you're turning in. So by September 26th, this is the final product that I have to turn in. That's not where you want to jump to right away. You want to go down to these checkpoints, and this is all that you want to work through, okay? So you would first click on checkpoint 1, patterns in real world situations. So I'd click on that, and this is actually the first checkpoint that I would be doing, okay? So then once I would, actually let's go back in that. Once I'm done and I feel I've done the best thing that I can, then I would click share over here, and I would type in my teacher's name and share that document with them. Then they're going to provide feedback for me. So what you'll see when you do get feedback, you'll either get a green is what you want. It'll say keep going. That means you can move on to the next checkpoint. So if checkpoint 1 turns green, that means go ahead and move on to checkpoint 2. If it's yellow, it means that you need to check your feedback. So there might need to be some small changes made, and then you would resubmit, and hopefully it would be green then. If you get a red, that means stop and revise. So that means do not move on to checkpoint 2 yet, because you have not mastered checkpoint 1. So you're going to have to go back in there, look at the comments from your instructor, make some changes, and then resubmit. Okay. So on the progress page, this is where you can see all of your activity. I recommend you go in here and you also read some of the notes. This is where your instructor might send you a message to let you know a little recommendation for what to do for the week. So again, let's go back to the week page. Okay. So most important thing, and I know Mrs. Roop is going to really stress this, is the adding goals. And it's very, very important because the big thing is, for attendance purposes, we need to know what you're doing throughout the week. If you don't submit a content assessment, or if you don't submit a checkpoint in a week, it's hard for us to tell what exactly you did. So you need to, it would help us for attendance if you put in here that you were, studying your notes, watching videos, preparing for your next content assessment. So type in here what you're actually doing each day so that we can actually give you full attendance for that week, because it's going to be really difficult if you don't submit a product in that week. One more thing about the year view. If you are a learner who is coming in at the halfway point, or you didn't start at the very beginning of the year, you are not expected to do what is to the left of the bar. Okay, so when you come in on your start date, say I started today, I would still be responsible for this project because that is the bars going through that. I would not be expected to do this focus area. Okay, I would be expected to do this project, but not this focus area. I would have to do this project, but not this focus area. And the same thing for that. I'd have to do this project, but not this focus area. So just pay attention to where this bar is. And if you have any questions about the SLP, we know it's different, but your instructors are more than willing to help. So message myself. I'm Mrs. Gibbons, Mrs. Walters, there's Mrs. Roop, and Mr. Longwell, and we'd be happy to help.